Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today.
Lee faked Luna's death and conceals her in a secret location. Everyone is stunned by Luna's death, but Poppy's response is more icy than ice. Liam is stable but in critical condition, Sheila is recovering, and Poppy is reacting shockingly to the loss of her only child. The things you didn't see today on Bold and Beautiful. Grace checked on Sheila when she woke up. Considering that she had been wounded in the foot, she was generally doing well. She has some soft tissue injury and a few broken bones, but otherwise she is well. In addition, she is missing a toe. Grace had high hopes that she will be well soon. Sheila immediately thought of Luna and wanted to know how she was doing. With sadness in her eyes, Grace just told her that she had no updates. Deacon soon reached his wife's side, thankful that she was still alive and would soon be recovering. The fact that Sheila stood up for Luna, however, did not impress him. Sheila assured him that everything had been an accident and that her granddaughter was suffering as a result of her behavior. Amazing savings. Regarding Luna, Bridget and Lee put up a lot of effort to save her life. And their efforts were successful. They were able to remove the bullet from Luna and control her bleeding. The minor triumph brought Lee and Bridget relief. However, Bridget reminded Lee that although they offered the young woman another chance, it wasn't really that much. The cops were waiting for her to wake up outside so they could take her into custody. Lee stayed behind to look for her niece after Bridget left. Finn fought to save Liam down the hall. He also performed a spectacular save, much like his mother did. He successfully removed the bullet from Liam's chest and restored his vital signs. After adding the last stitch, Finn was beaming and happy with his job. He was certain that he had done enough to support Liam through this ordeal. Liam is battling to survive. Hope and Carter, meantime, hurried to Steffi's side in the corridor. She filled them in on the horror that had occurred at the beach house. He was shot to save her, and as an added act of bravery, he killed Luna. It would be an understatement to say the couple was taken aback. They prayed for him to pull through as she led them up to the viewing window. Finn went to greet Steffi and Hope after the procedure to share the news with them. Liam is safe, of course, but what happened in the next few hours and days mattered. Although stable, Liam remained extremely critical. When they visited Liam in his recuperation, Hope gave a passionate speech pleading for him to return to them. They didn't need to lose any more time because they were already losing enough due to the brain tumor. Luna has left. Later, when Poppy got there, she saw Lee emerge from her stay with Luna. Lee broke the shocking news that Luna had survived surgery, but she had not left the recovery room. Luna died as a result of her injuries. To the complete surprise of everyone, Poppy wasn't angry. She actually said, "Good. I'm relieved Luna's dead." Sheila loses another toe, and Poppy is relieved when Lee announces Luna is dead. As Steffi called Hope to the hospital to inform her that Liam had been shot, Luna began to collapse in surgery. At the medical facility. As Luna bleeds out in the operating room, Lee and Bridget are fighting for her life. She is shocked as they seize the paddles. Power from Nozawa! Luna is shocked by Lee's words until her heart returns. They seal her up when she digs out to shoot. Although she has a long road to recovery and the authorities are already waiting to arrest her, Bridget claims she is stable. They will all be closely monitoring her, according to Lee. It could take a million things before she gets better. She praises Bridget's efforts today. Lee tells Luna that she didn't deserve anything when Bridget leaves. As Steffi watches Finn perform surgery on Liam, she hopes he will recover. As Hope and Carter enter, she dashes into the hallway. According to Steffi, Finn is still in business. He must save their daughter, according to Hope. Steffi claims that, like he always promised, he protected her. She is unsure of how he managed to get hold of the gun and squeeze the trigger. All of that must have been scary, says Carter. They proceed to the window for observation. Finn tries to stabilize Liam as he begins to fall into shock. They keep sucking up the blood when Finn removes the bullet. Hope implores Liam to make it as she touches the glass. They sew Liam up after the bleeding stops. He gives his crew credit. Finn says Liam should make it through this as he joins the others in the hallway. They all enter Liam's chamber in a file. He is under a lot of sedation. Finn clarifies that Liam's survival would be uncertain even in the absence of the tumor. Hope sits next to Liam and assures him that everything will work out. She is holding him accountable for his vow to fight for his girls. He should wait, she advises. Steffi holds her while she weeps. Poppy shows there as soon as they leave, and Steffi begins lecturing her about her daughter. Lee explains that despite their best efforts, Luna passed away during her recuperation. She is no longer alive. All right. I'm glad Luna's dead, Poppy says. Everyone is stunned. Sheila is visited by Grace, who informs her that she was fortunate that her surgery went so well. Sheila is muttering and confused. If Luna is all right, she asks. Grace informs her that Deacon has been summoned and is en route. Sheila finds it hard to believe what has transpired. She is unable to hear how Liam and Luna are doing, so Grace encourages her to focus on getting better so she may resume dancing. Deacon encounters his spouse. He finds it unbelievable that Luna shot her. According to Sheila, it wasn't deliberate. Luna was impulsive and desperate. During the scuffle, the gun went off. He pledges to provide her with all she requires. He is hoping Liam will survive. With you at my side, I can't imagine my life without you, he says. He doesn't believe he will continue to call her a fool. She has 8 left. One had to be amputated. Although she thinks he's kidding, he's not. He asks, "What's another toe?" She chuckles. The sterile, fluorescent hum of the hospital, usually a backdrop for whispered anxieties and fragile hope, crackled with the aftermath of unspeakable violence, a dissonant symphony of frantic medical heroism and crushing personal loss that seemed to thicken the very air with the metallic tang of blood and despair. Sheila Carter, the perennial architect of chaos, lay bandaged and diminished in her own bed, the reality of her missing toe a grotesque footnote to the carnage she'd inadvertently precipitated, her awakening marked not by relief but by an immediate, gut-wrenching inquiry about Luna, her granddaughter, the question hanging heavy, met only by Grace's pity-laden silence and the terrifying void of information, a void Deacon Sharp soon filled with his palpable relief at her survival, yet his face hardened like cooling lava at her defense of Luna, her insistence on accident ringing hollow against the grim tableau unfolding down the corridors, a defense Sheila clung to even as she acknowledged Luna was paying the price, a price whose horrific finality was being determined room by room, heartbeat by faltering heartbeat, under the desperate ministrations of those sworn to heal. In one operating theater, a different kind of storm raged, silent and intense, as Bridget Forrester and Dr. Lee Finnegan, bound by professional duty and a complex web of familial ties, waged a brutal war against death itself for Luna Nozawa, their skilled hands moving with lightning precision to stem the tide of crimson life escaping her. Their faces masks of concentration etched with the gravity of the young woman's shredded existence. Against staggering odds, they achieved the miraculous. Locating the treacherous bleeder, extracting the lethal shard of metal, securing a fragile, tenuous victory, a second chance snatched from the abyss, a breath held collectively by the medical team. Yet, even as the sterile clamps clicked shut and the final sutures were placed, the grim reality descended like a shroud. Bridget's quiet, weary words till he pierced the momentary relief. This reprieve was merely a pause, a transfer from the surgeon's table to the custody of the law, the police a patient, ominous presence outside the door, waiting to shackle the survivor of this trauma the moment consciousness flickered back, leaving Lee alone in the sterile aftermath, the weight of guardianship and impending disgrace settling on her shoulders as she watched over her niece's unnervingly still form, the machine's beeping a fragile, deceptive lullaby. Simultaneously, down the harshly lit hallway in another crucible of life and death, John Finnegan, Sheila's estranged son, battled with equal ferocity for Liam Spencer, the man who had thrown himself into the path of a bullet meant for Steffi, a selfless act that had also culminated in him disarming Luna in the chaotic, terror-filled confines of the beach house. Finn's hands, steady and sure, probed the treacherous landscape of Liam's chest, navigating the delicate terrain around his heart and lungs, meticulously extracting the bullet that threatened to extinguish a father, a husband, a son. The tension in that room was a living thing, coiling tighter with each passing second until, finally, Finn secured the last suture, the vital signs stabilizing into a rhythm that spoke not of health, but of survival possible. A wave of profound, exhausted relief washed over him, a smile breaking through the grim mask. He had done it, pulled Liam back from the precipice, a miraculous save mirroring the one achieved for Luna, a fragile thread of hope spun from skill and sheer will. This fragile hope, however, was met with crushing anxiety just outside the observation window where Steffi Forrester, her face ravaged by tears and shock, stood flanked by Hope Logan and Carter Walton, recounting the nightmare in fractured sentences, Liam's heroic sacrifice, the terrifying confrontation, Luna's final, desperate act stopped by Liam himself. Their faces mirrored the incomprehensible horror of it all. When Finn emerged, still clad in the armor of his scrubs, his news was a qualified bomb. Liam was alive, stable for now, a testament to Finn's skill, but the battle was far from won. The next hours, the next days, were a minefield of potential complications, his condition critically fragile, teetering on an edge as sharp as a scalpel. Inside the recovery room, bathed in the cold, clinical light, Hope's voice, thick with tears and a love forged in both joy and profound recent pain, broke the mechanical hum, pleading with Liam's unconscious form, invoking the precious, stolen time already lost to his brain tumor, begging him not to steal more, not to leave them now, her words a raw, impassioned testament to a love fighting against unimaginable odds on multiple fronts. It was into this atmosphere, thick with the sour sweat of fear, the acrid scent of antiseptic barely masking the lingering phantom of gunpowder and blood, and the deafening silence of prayers suspended, that Poppy Nozawa arrived, her presence cutting through the hospital's oppressive gloom like a sudden, unexpected chill. Her timing was macabrely precise, catching Dr. Lee Finnegan just as she emerged from Luna's room, the exhaustion on Lee's face now deepened by a sorrow so profound it seemed to bend her posture. Lee, the aunt who had fought so fiercely in the OR, who had stayed vigil by the bedside, met Poppy's gaze, and the words she had to deliver were not just news, but an atomic bomb detonating in the fragile ecosystem of the family. Luna survived the surgery, Lee began, the statement offering a nanosecond of cruel, false hope before the hammer blow fell, but she didn't make it out of recovery. She succumbed to her injuries. Luna is gone. The words hung in the air, a death sentence pronounced not just on a young life, but on the future, on innocence, on countless possibilities brutally extinguished. The shock was instantaneous and visceral, a collective gasp seeming to suck the oxygen from the hallway. The nurses paused, heads bowed, Steffi, Hope, and Carter froze, their expressions collapsing into masks of stunned grief. Evenly braced herself for the tsunami of maternal anguish she expected to crash over Poppy. But the sound that emerged from Poppy's lips was not a wail, not a sob, not the shattering scream of a mother bereft. It was a chilling, flat void. Her eyes, dry and unnervingly clear, met Lee's grief-stricken ones, and then, with a calm so absolute it was terrifying, she spoke. Her voice, devoid of tremor, devoid of any recognizable human warmth, cut through the heavy silence like shards of glass. Good. A single syllable, dropped like a stone into a still pond, radiating not sorrow, but satisfaction? Relief? I'm glad Luna is dead. The statement landed with the force of a physical blow. The hallway didn't just fall silent, it froze solid. Stunned disbelief warred with horrified revulsion on every face. Lee recoiled as if slapped, her professional composure shattering into pure, unadulterated shock. How could a mother, the woman who gave birth to her, raised her? The sheer, unnatural coldness of it was more shocking than any outburst of grief could have been. It was a perversion of nature, a chilling void where maternal instinct should have screamed in agony. Poppy offered no explanation, no crack in the glacial facade, no tear to betray hidden pain. Her words hung in the air, colder than the stainless steel instruments that had failed to save her daughter, colder than the morgue slab Luna would inevitably occupy, a stark, horrifying monument to a love extinguished not just by death, but by something far more sinister emanating from the heart that should have been shattered. In that moment, amidst the grief for Liam's fragile hold on life, the complex fallout of Sheila's survival, and the tragic waste of Luna's extinguished potential, Poppy's glacial pronouncement became the most terrifying mystery of all, a chilling enigma wrapped in ice, leaving everyone questioning everything they thought they knew about the woman, her relationship with her daughter, and the unfathomable darkness that could make a mother welcome her child's coffin with such absolute, frozen indifference. The scent of death now carried a new, unsettling fragrance, the sharp, sterile odor of pure, unforgiving ice. Luna Nozawa's life was a symphony of controlled chaos turned ragged. Blood, alarmingly bright against the stark white linens and stainless steel, welled from the gunshot wound with terrifying persistence. Dr. Lee Finnegan, her brow furrowed in intense concentration, her gloved hands moving with practiced speed yet underpinned by a tremor of raw fear for her niece, worked alongside the equally formidable Dr. Bridget Forrester. Their voices were clipped commands, medical jargon snapping through the tense air like whips: suction, clamp, more pressure here. Luna's vital signs on the monitor were a grim dance towards flatline, her heart rhythm deteriorating into the ominous, jerky lines of ventricular fibrillation. "She's crashing," Bridget declared, the words sharp and heavy. Without hesitation, Lee grabbed the defibrillator paddles, her voice cutting through the din, clear. The sharp crack thump jolted Luna's small frame, the unnatural arch and fall a brutal sight. Silence. The flatline screamed its monotone dirge. "Again!" Lee commanded, the paddles recharged. "Nozawa power," she gritted, a primal invocation of family strength and sheer, stubborn will, sending another surge of electricity through Luna. This time, the miracle flickered, a weak, erratic blip, then another, slowly coalescing into a fragile, thready rhythm. Hope, thin and desperate, surged through the ore. Lee, seizing the moment, probed with laser focus, her instruments navigating treacherous terrain until the mangled bullet fragment was finally extracted, clinking into the metal tray with a sound both horrifying and relieving. Sutures flew, sealing the breach, stemming the crimson tide. Bridget, sweat beading on her forehead despite the cool air, finally allowed a sliver of relief to soften her features. "She's stable. For now," she announced, the exhaustion profound. But it's a long, treacherous road to recovery. The grim reality followed instantly. And the police are already outside, waiting to arrest her the moment she's medically cleared. Lee's gaze remained fixed on Luna's pale, still form. "We will all be keeping a close watch," she stated, her voice low and dangerous. "A million things could happen before she wakes up." She commended Bridget, a brief, professional acknowledgement of shared battle scars. Only when the doors hissed shut behind Bridget did Lee allow the professional mask to slip entirely. Leaning close to Luna's ear, her voice thick with unshed tears and simmering fury, she whispered, "You didn't deserve this, sweetheart. You didn't." Meanwhile, the drama unfolded just on the corridor in R1, where the life of Liam Spencer hung by equally tenuous threads. Dr. John Finn Finnegan worked with the same focused intensity as his wife, his hands steady as he navigated the damage inflicted by Luna's bullet. Steffi Forrester, Liam's ex-wife and Finn's current wife, watched from the observation window, her knuckles white as she gripped the railing, prayers a silent mantra on her lips. The arrival of Hope Logan, Liam's wife, and Carter Walton shattered her fragile composure. Hope's face was a mask of pure terror. "Is he?" She couldn't finish. "Finn's still operating," Steffi managed, her voice rough. Hope's eyes, wide and desperate, locked onto Steffi's. "He has to save him, Steffi. For Beth, for all of us." A complex wave of emotion crossed Steffi's face, residual pain, shared history, and a reluctant, grudging respect. "He protected her," Steffi murmured, almost to herself. "Like he always said he would." She shook her head, bewildered by the sheer, reckless courage. "I don't know how he found the strength to grab that gun, to pull the trigger." Carter placed a comforting hand on Steffi's shoulder. "I'm sure it was all terrifying." They moved to the window, a trio united by dread. Inside, Liam's body suddenly convulsed, shock setting in. Finn's commands became more urgent. "Pressure dropping. Get me more blood. Suction, now." Hope pressed her palm flat against the cold glass, tears streaming down her face. "Liam. Fight. Please, fight. You promised. You promised Beth. You promised me." It was a raw, guttural plea that echoed in the hushed corridor. Finally, after agonizing minutes where time seemed suspended in the thick scent of antiseptic and fear, Finn straightened. The frantic activity slowed. The bullet was out. The bleeding, miraculously, was controlled. Sutures began their meticulous work, closing the wound that had nearly claimed a life. Finn peeled off his gloves, his face etched with exhaustion, and joined the anxious group outside. He should survive this, Finn announced, the weight of the words immense. Relief, profound and dizzying, washed over Hope and Steffi, momentarily binding them. They filed into Liam's recovery room, a silent procession. He lay unnervingly still, heavily sedated, machines breathing for him, monitors beeping their steady, fragile reassurance. Finn explained the precariousness quietly to Hope and Steffi. Even without the tumor complicating things, surviving that shot was a hard call. A very hard call. Hope sank into the chair beside Liam's bed, taking his limp hand in both of hers. Her voice trembled but held fierce determination. You promised, Liam. You promised to fight. To be there for Beth. To be there for me. I'm holding you to that. Do you hear me? You need to hold on. Her composure broke then, deep, racking sobs shaking her shoulders. Steffi, moved by the raw pain and the shared history of loving this complicated man, instinctively stepped forward, wrapping an arm around Hope, offering silent, awkward comfort in the sterile quiet of the room. As Hope and Steffi emerged, emotionally ravaged, into the bustling corridor, they were met by the unexpected, unwelcome arrival of Poppy Nozawa. Luna's mother looked flustered, her eyes darting around anxiously. Steffi, her own nerves frayed to breaking point, her protective instincts for Finn and the chaos Luna had unleashed at their home roaring to the surface, immediately launched into a tirade. Poppy! Where have you been? Your daughter. She brought a gun into my house. She shot Liam. She shot Sheila. She nearly got Finn killed. What kind of plea, emerging from Luna's recovery bay, her expression unreadable but radiating an icy calm, smoothly intercepted Steffi's fury. She placed a hand on Steffi's arm, a subtle signal to stand down. Her eyes, dark and fathomless, locked onto her sister's. Poppy, Lee said, her voice devoid of its usual warmth, clinical and final. We did everything humanly possible for Luna. We fought for hours. We stopped the bleeding, repaired the damage. She paused, letting the weight of the next words settle. But she didn't make it through the recovery phase. Her body, it just couldn't sustain the trauma. Luna. Luna is dead. The words hung in the air, a brutal pronouncement. Hope gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Steffi froze, momentarily silenced by the sheer finality. Carter's eyes widened. Finn watched Poppy intently. Poppy stared at Lee, her face a blank canvas for a fleeting second. Then, a transformation occurred. Not grief, not horror, but a profound, almost unnerving wave of relief washed over her features. Her shoulders, perpetually tense, visibly slumped as if shedding an immense, invisible burden. A sigh, deep and shuddering, escaped her lips. Her eyes, instead of filling with tears, held a chilling emptiness. When she spoke, her voice was unnervingly calm, devoid of the expected tremor of loss, carrying instead a terrible, simple certainty. Good. The single word dropped like a stone into the shocked silence. She met the stunned, disbelieving gazes of everyone around her, Steffi's outrage, Hope's confusion, Carter's disbelief, Finn's clinical observation, Lee's carefully guarded scrutiny. Poppy didn't flinch. She elaborated, her tone flat, almost matter-of-fact, yet resonating with a lifetime of hidden anguish. I'm glad Luna's dead. The sheer, unvarnished cruelty of it, the unnatural maternal response, left the group reeling, united for a moment in shared, horrified incomprehension. Poppy offered no justification, no tears, only that chilling relief etched onto her face before turning away, leaving a vacuum of stunned silence in her wake. The implications, of a mother welcoming her child's death, of secrets deeper and darker than the gunshot wound, were terrifying.